The wooden sword strikes against the training post with a thunderous crack that echoes through the Gladiator school courtyard. You can almost smell the sweat and determination in the air as Marcus Aurelius Valerius, the most promising fighter in Gaius Brutus's ludus, practices his deadly craft. But what you're about to witness isn't just another training session. It's the beginning of a love story that will challenge everything you thought you knew about ancient Rome's most brutal entertainment. Picture yourself standing in the shadows of the Gladiator school, watching as Marcus's muscled frame moves with the grace of a predator. His brown hair catches the morning sunlight, and those piercing blue eyes focus intensely on his training dummy. At 24, he's already survived 12 arena fights, and the scar running across his left shoulder tells the story of his most recent victory. What makes this gladiator different from the others? It's not just his exceptional skill with the gladius. It's the intelligence behind those eyes, the way he observes everything around him with the calculating mind of a strategist rather than just a fighter. You watch as the other gladiators in the school give Marcus respectful distance. They know he's destined for greatness, possibly even freedom if he can win enough fights to buy his way out of slavery. The ludus of Gaius Brutus's ludus is one of the most prestigious gladiator schools in all of Rome, located just outside the city walls where the sound of clashing weapons mingles with the distant roar of the Colosseum crowds. Here, men are forged into killing machines, their bodies sculpted for one purpose: to entertain the Roman masses with their blood and courage. But on this particular morning, as Marcus wipes the sweat from his brow and reaches for his water, something extraordinary happens. The main gate of the ludus creaks open, and you see her for the first time. Lydia Octavia, daughter of the ludus owner, steps into the courtyard with the confidence of someone born to privilege. Her golden hair is arranged in the elaborate style favored by Roman patrician women, held in place with ivory pins that catch the light. Those green eyes sweep across the training grounds with curiosity rather than the disdain you might expect from someone of her station.
What happens next changes everything. As Lydia walks past the training area, her gaze falls upon Marcus, and for a moment that seems to stretch into eternity, their eyes meet. You can see the instant recognition pass between them, not of faces, but of souls finding their match across the vast divide of Roman social hierarchy. Marcus, who has never shown fear in the face of lions or armed opponents, finds himself frozen by the gentle power in those green eyes. Lydia, who has been courted by senators and wealthy merchants, feels her heart race in a way that no amount of gold or political promises has ever achieved. The moment is broken when Titus, a grizzled veteran gladiator with arms like tree trunks and scars mapping his entire torso, calls out to Marcus, "Focus, boy. Your mind-wandering will get you killed in the arena." But you notice that even as Marcus returns to his training, his eyes keep drifting back to where Lydia stands, pretending to examine the weapons rack while stealing glances at the magnificent fighter. You can almost feel the electricity in the air as this impossible attraction begins to bloom. In Rome's rigid social structure, the daughter of a ludus owner falling for a gladiator slave is more than scandalous. It's potentially deadly. Gladiators are property, living weapons owned by their masters, expected to fight and die for entertainment. Patrician daughters are political assets, their marriages arranged to strengthen family alliances and increase wealth. For these two to even acknowledge each other romantically would violate every law and custom that holds Roman society together. But love, as you're about to discover, recognizes no laws except its own. Over the following days, you watch as Lydia finds increasingly creative excuses to visit the gladiator quarters. She claims to be checking on the food quality for her father, ensuring the fighters are properly equipped, or consulting with the weapons master about purchases. Each visit brings her closer to Marcus, and each encounter deepens their connection. They begin to communicate through glances and subtle gestures, a slight nod when she approves of his form during practice, a careful positioning of her body so they might brush hands when she passes him bread during the evening meal. The other gladiators begin to notice, but their loyalty to Marcus keeps them silent. They understand the stakes involved, and they respect their fellow fighter too much to endanger him with careless talk. Besides, in the brutal world of the gladiator school, moments of beauty and tenderness are so rare that even hardened killers find themselves protective of genuine love when they witness it.
The first real conversation between Marcus and Lydia happens 3 weeks after their initial meeting, in the quiet hour before dawn when the ludus sleeps and only the guards patrol the perimeter. You watch from the shadows as Lydia slips from her father's villa into the courtyard, where Marcus waits by the small shrine to Mars that the gladiators maintain. In the pale pre-dawn light, they look like figures from a romantic fresco, their whispered words carrying more weight than the loudest arena cheers. "I know this is madness," Lydia tells him, her voice barely audible above the distant sound of the city awakening. "But I cannot stop thinking about you. When I watch you fight, I see not just a gladiator, but a man of honor and courage unlike any I have known." Marcus's response reveals the depth of his character. "My lady, I am nothing but a slave who kills for the entertainment of others. You are nobility, destined for a life of comfort and respect. This path leads only to destruction for both of us." But even as he speaks these practical words, his hand reaches out to gently touch her face, and you can see that he is as lost as she is. Their forbidden love has already taken root too deeply to be uprooted by logic or social convention. What makes their connection even more powerful is the genuine respect they show each other. Marcus speaks to Lydia not as a superior to be flattered, but as an equal whose intelligence and spirit he admires. Lydia sees past Marcus's slave status to recognize the noble heart that beats within his warrior's chest. They share stories of their dreams, his of earning freedom and perhaps opening a small farm outside the city, hers of traveling beyond Rome's borders to see the world she has only read about in scrolls. These secret dawn meetings become the highlight of both their lives. They last only minutes before the risk of discovery becomes too great. But in those stolen moments, they build a foundation of understanding and affection that would be the envy of any arranged marriage among the Roman elite. You watch as their body language evolves from careful formality to unconscious intimacy, the way they lean toward each other when speaking, how their hands find excuses to touch, the smiles that light their faces when they first see each other each morning. But their happiness cannot remain hidden forever. Gaius Brutus, Lydia's father, is not a fool. He has built his wealth and reputation by being observant and ruthless, qualities that made his gladiator school one of the most successful in Rome. You see him beginning to notice his daughter's strange new habits, her early rising, her increased interest in the daily operations of the ludus, the way she watches the gladiator training with an unusual intensity.
The crisis comes when Marcus is scheduled to fight in a special exhibition match at a private villa owned by Senator Lucius Cornelius Sulla. These smaller arena events are extremely dangerous because they often feature experimental matchups designed to provide unique entertainment for wealthy Romans seeking something beyond the standard Colosseum fare. Marcus will face not one, but 2 opponents, a veteran Retiarius with his net and trident, and a heavily armored Secutor with sword and shield. You're in the stands with Lydia and her father as the makeshift arena fills with the excited chatter of Rome's elite. The sandy floor has been raked smooth, and the afternoon sun beats down mercilessly on the fighters below.
Lydia's hands grip the marble balustrade so tightly that her knuckles turn white, and you can see her fighting to maintain the composed expression expected of a Roman lady, while her heart races with terror for the man she loves. When Marcus enters the arena, the crowd erupts in appreciation. His reputation has grown considerably over the past months, and many of the spectators have wagered significant sums on the outcome of this unusual three-way combat. Marcus raises his gladius in the traditional salute to the crowd, but his eyes find Lydia in the stands, and for just a moment his professional mask slips to reveal the love and determination burning within him. The fight begins with a coordinated attack from both opponents, clearly planned to overwhelm Marcus before he can use his superior speed and skill to divide and conquer them. The retiarius casts his net, while the secutor charges forward with his shield raised, attempting to pin Marcus between them with no room to maneuver. But Marcus demonstrates why he has become such a celebrated fighter. He drops and rolls beneath the net, comes up behind the secutor, and delivers a perfectly placed thrust that penetrates a gap in the man's armor. The crowd roars its approval, but the fight is far from over. The retiarius has retrieved his net and now faces Marcus one-on-one, but with the advantage of reach and experience. You watch as they circle each other like predators, each looking for the perfect moment to strike. The net flashes out again and again, forcing Marcus to dance away from its entangling embrace while looking for opportunities to close distance with his shorter sword.
The moment that changes everything comes when Marcus finally manages to trap the retiarius's net with his gladius and yanks his opponent off balance. As the man stumbles forward, Marcus brings his knee up in a devastating blow that drops the retiarius to the sand. The crowd is on its feet, cheering for the spectacular victory. But you notice something that makes your blood run cold. A thin line of red spreading across Marcus's tunic from a wound he sustained during the earlier exchange with the secutor. Lydia sees it too, and only her father's restraining hand on her arm prevents her from leaping from the stands to rush to Marcus's aid. That single gesture, her instinctive movement toward an injured gladiator, tells Gaius Brutus everything he needs to know about his daughter's feelings. You watch his face transform from pride in his fighter's victory to cold anger as he realizes the implications of what he has just witnessed. As Marcus is helped from the arena, his wound more serious than initially apparent, Lydia's composure finally breaks. Tears stream down her face as she watches the man she loves struggle to walk under his own power, and her father's grip on her arm tightens to the point of pain. The ride back to the ludus passes in tense silence, Gaius Brutus's mind clearly working through the dangerous situation that has developed under his own roof. That evening, as Marcus lies in the Gladiator infirmary with a deep gash along his ribs that will take weeks to heal properly, Lydia defies every convention of Roman society by going to him. You follow her through the darkened corridors of the ludus, past sleeping gladiators and snoring guards, to the small room where Marcus rests on a simple wooden cot. The scene that unfolds is one of the most tender and heartbreaking you will ever witness.
Lydia kneels beside Marcus's cot, her hands shaking as she gently touches the bandages covering his wounded ribs. In the flickering candlelight, you can see the raw emotion on both their faces. Her fear at how close she came to losing him, his amazement that she would risk everything to be with him in this moment of vulnerability. This is no longer a flirtation or even a romance. What you're witnessing is two souls recognizing that they would rather face destruction together than live safely apart. "I cannot bear to see you hurt," Lydia whispers, her voice breaking with emotion. "When I saw that blade find its mark, I felt as though my own heart was being pierced." Marcus struggles to sit up despite his pain, needing to look directly into her eyes as he speaks. "My beautiful Lydia, you must understand what this means. Your father saw your reaction in the arena today. There will be consequences for both of us, and I would rather die 1,000 deaths than see harm come to you because of my selfishness." But Lydia places her finger gently against his lips, silencing his protests. "Then we must find a way to be together that does not require you to die or me to live in a golden cage for the rest of my life." Their intimate moment is shattered when Gaius Brutus appears in the doorway like an avenging god, his face a mask of controlled fury that promises terrible consequences. You can feel the temperature in the small room drop as his cold gaze takes in the scene before him. His daughter, kneeling beside a gladiator slave in a pose that speaks of deep intimacy and emotional connection. For a moment, the only sound is the guttering of the candle flame and Marcus's labored breathing from his injuries. "Lydia," Gaius says, in a voice that could cut marble, "return to your chambers immediately. We will discuss your behavior in the morning." His tone makes it clear that discuss is a euphemism for something far more unpleasant. As Lydia reluctantly rises to leave, her eyes never leaving Marcus's face, her father continues speaking to the injured gladiator. "As for you, Marcus Aurelius Valerius, you have forgotten your place in ways that could cost you more than your freedom. Rest and heal quickly, because I have special plans for your immediate future." The threat hangs in the air like smoke from a funeral pyre, as Lydia is escorted back to the villa under guard. You can see in Marcus's eyes that he understands perfectly what his master is implying. A dangerous fight in the near future, one designed either to kill him or permanently damage his ability to threaten the established order of the household. Over the next several days, as Marcus slowly recovers from his wounds, the atmosphere in the ludus becomes increasingly tense. Gaius Brutus has posted additional guards around the gladiator quarters and forbidden his daughter from entering the training areas under any circumstances. But love finds a way, as it always does, and you watch as Lydia begins using her personal slave, Cassia, as a messenger between herself and Marcus. The notes they exchange through this dangerous channel reveal the depth of their feelings and their growing desperation to find a solution to their impossible situation.
Their most daring plan emerges when Lydia discovers that her father is negotiating the sale of several gladiators to a school in Gaul, far from Rome's reach. If she can forge the documents to include Marcus in this sale, and if she can arrange to meet the caravan en route with money to bribe the guards, they might have a chance at escape and freedom together. You watch as they develop this scheme through a series of increasingly risky meetings, each one potentially their last if they are discovered. The plan requires Lydia to access her father's private study to forge the sale documents, steal enough gold to fund their escape, and arrange for horses and supplies to be waiting at a predetermined location outside the city. For Marcus, it means fighting one more exhibition match while secretly preparing for flight, knowing that if their scheme fails, he will likely face crucifixion as an escaped slave. What makes their plan even more desperate is the realization that Gaius Brutus has begun arranging a marriage for Lydia with Quintus Fabius Maximus, a wealthy senator's son whose political connections could significantly advance the family status. The engagement will be announced within a month, making their window for escape extremely narrow. As the days count down toward their planned flight, you can see the strain taking its toll on both lovers. Marcus pushes himself harder in training, knowing that his next fight may determine whether he lives to attempt escape. Lydia becomes increasingly withdrawn and nervous, jumping at every sound and studying her father's face for signs that their secret has been discovered. The night before Marcus's scheduled exhibition fight and their planned escape attempt, they meet one final time in the small shrine to Mars. In the pale moonlight, they make promises to each other that transcend the legal bonds of Roman marriage. Marcus takes a small silver ring from his finger, a prize won in one of his early arena victories, and places it on Lydia's hand as a symbol of their commitment. "Whatever happens tomorrow," he tells her, "know that you have given my life meaning beyond mere survival. If we succeed, we will build a life together that honors the love we have discovered. If we fail, at least we will have loved truly, which is more than most people achieve in a lifetime."
The exhibition fight takes place in a temporary arena constructed in the courtyard of a wealthy merchant's villa, designed to entertain a select group of Rome's most influential citizens. You can feel the tension in the air as Marcus enters the combat area, knowing that Lydia watches from the stands while their escape plan hangs in the balance. His opponent is a massive Germanic warrior, recently captured and pressed into gladiatorial service, whose raw strength and berserker fury make him extremely dangerous, despite his lack of formal training. What makes this fight different from all of Marcus's previous contests is that he cannot simply focus on victory. He must also survive with enough strength and mobility to attempt escape within hours of the match's conclusion. This requires a different strategy, one that emphasizes efficiency and conservation of energy rather than spectacular displays for crowd approval. The Germanic warrior's initial assault is like facing a human avalanche, all crushing strength and wild aggression. Marcus gives ground steadily, using his superior technique to deflect rather than block the barbarian's powerful strikes, looking for opportunities to exploit his opponent's lack of defensive discipline. The crowd, expecting a quick and bloody conclusion, grows restless as the fight becomes a tactical chess match rather than a brutal slugfest. You watch as Marcus gradually wears down his opponent through precise cuts and strategic positioning, never taking unnecessary risks or expending more energy than absolutely required. When the moment comes for the finishing blow, he delivers it with clinical efficiency that leaves him standing victorious but largely uninjured, exactly what their escape plan requires. But as Marcus raises his gladius in the traditional victory salute, you notice Gaius Brutus studying his daughter's face with the calculating gaze of a man who has finally confirmed his worst suspicions. The way Lydia's entire body relaxes with relief at Marcus's survival, the tears of joy she quickly wipes away, the unconscious smile that transforms her features, all of it tells her father that his daughter's heart belongs completely to his gladiator slave.
The confrontation comes that very evening, as Lydia prepares to execute their escape plan. Gaius Brutus enters her chambers without warning, accompanied by two of his most trusted guards, and you can see immediately that their scheme has been discovered. On her writing desk lie the forged documents she has prepared, the stolen gold counted out for bribes, and detailed maps marking their planned escape route. "Did you truly believe you could deceive me in my own house?" Gaius asks, his voice carrying the cold disappointment of a father whose daughter has betrayed everything he taught her about honor and social responsibility. "Did you think I would not notice gold missing from my strongbox or papers altered in my private study?" Lydia's response shows the courage that made Marcus fall in love with her in the first place. Rather than denying her actions or begging for mercy, she stands tall and faces her father with dignity. "I love him, Father, not for his body or his skill in the arena, but for his noble heart and gentle spirit. He is worth 10 of the political marriages you would arrange for me." The slap that follows echoes through the room like a thunderclap, leaving a bright red mark on Lydia's cheek and tears in her eyes. But even through her pain, you can see her resolve only strengthen. She has chosen her path, and will not be turned aside by threats or violence. You will marry Quintus Fabius Maximus as planned. The arrangements are already complete, and the ceremony will take place within the week. As for your gladiator, he will fight again tomorrow, in the arena, against opponents chosen specifically to ensure he does not survive to corrupt any other foolish girls with romantic nonsense. But what Gaius Brutus doesn't anticipate is the depth of loyalty that Marcus has inspired among his fellow gladiators. As word of the planned execution fight spreads through the ludus, you watch as hardened fighters, who have never shown sentiment, begin quietly making their own plans. Titus, the grizzled veteran who has become Marcus's mentor, approaches several of the other gladiators with a proposition that could change everything. The morning of Marcus's death match dawns gray and threatening, with storm clouds gathering over Rome like omens of the violence to come. But as Marcus prepares for what everyone expects to be his final fight, Titus brings him unexpected news. The gladiators have used their small savings and gambling winnings to purchase Marcus's freedom from Gaius Brutus, presenting the ludus owner with an offer he cannot legally refuse under Roman law. "We may be slaves," Titus tells Marcus as he hands over the freedom papers, "but we recognize honor when we see it. Your love for that girl has reminded us all that we are still men, not just weapons. Take your freedom, take your woman, and build the life that the rest of us can only dream about." The gesture is unprecedented in the brutal world of the gladiator school, where survival typically requires absolute self-interest. But Marcus has inspired something in his fellow fighters that transcends their usual concerns. A recognition that true love and nobility of spirit exist even in the darkest corners of Roman society. When Gaius Brutus receives the freedom payment, he realizes that he has been outmaneuvered by forces he never considered. Roman law is clear. A gladiator whose freedom has been properly purchased cannot be forced to fight, and Marcus is now a free citizen with the same legal rights as any other Roman. The carefully planned execution match becomes impossible, and the ludus owner's dreams of permanently separating his daughter from her beloved collapse into legal dust. The final scene of this epic love story takes place not in an arena or a villa, but on the dusty road leading north from Rome toward the freedom of Gaul. You watch as Marcus, now dressed in the simple clothes of a free citizen rather than gladiator armor, meets Lydia at a small shrine to Venus just outside the city walls. She has left behind her Patrician silks for a practical traveling dress, and her dowry jewelry has been sold to fund their new life together. As they embrace in the golden light of the setting sun, you realize that you have witnessed something truly remarkable. A love story that transcended every barrier Roman society could create, survived every obstacle that fate could devise, and ultimately triumphed through the combined power of true devotion and unexpected friendship. Marcus and Lydia may have lost their old lives, but they have gained something infinitely more valuable: the freedom to love each other without shame or fear. Their story becomes legend in the gladiator schools of Rome, inspiring other fighters to believe that even slaves can achieve the impossible when they dare to love with complete commitment. And as you watch them disappear into the gathering dusk, heading toward a future that belongs entirely to them, you understand that you have been privileged to witness one of history's greatest love stories: the gladiator and the patrician's daughter, who chose each other over everything else the world could offer.